What's going on, folks? Welcome to Ride Review. Today we are checking out an electric bike from Radio Flyer. How crazy is that? I didn't know that Radio Flyer actually made electric bikes. Turns out they do, and also turns out they're awesome. This one is the Via, their new and improved cargo bike. Now you almost certainly heard of the Radio Flyer brand. This is the manufacturer of the iconic Little Red Wagon. They've been in business for 107 years. And yeah, they make electric bikes. And so I've been having a blast with this thing. I actually used it when I was moving to a new apartment a couple of weeks ago. We're going to do a little bit of a cargo hauling run in the ride test today as well to really, put it to the test. But I think this is really well done. Radio Flyer has just, from what I've read from their, some of the information packets they sent me, their team spent a couple of years researching and doing testing and interviewing people and checking out competition to design this bike, the Via. They have made other cargo bikes before this, but this one is kind of the culmination of their other cargo efforts and everything that they've learned over the years, and it is just really well done. Everything from the design to the build quality, they have just absolutely nailed it. This is one of the few bikes where I don't really have a lot of negative stuff to say about it. I've really had to scrape the bottom of the barrel to find, anything that I didn't like or would improve. So, without any further ado, let's dive into the design overview on the Flyer here. Now, you'll notice I've got all kinds of accessories on this thing, and this is one area that they have really excelled is with the accessory options for the Via bikes. Now, you do get some accessories by default, not everything you see here. This frame that goes over the back, and then the seats do come with it by default, but this fancy, weather liner hauler bag thing is an extra accessory, as is this little this tote bag. This thing's awesome. I mean, it's got the grab handles on it. If you aren't using the weather liner, then it can use these little clips right here to clip onto the side, just to make sure that it's going to stay stable. It's got the extra pockets in there. I mean, we've got extra pockets all over this thing. There's these little side pockets here and the side of the weather liner, and then up front here is the front basket with its own liner as well. That is also an extra accessory. Check it out, we got another pocket snuck in right there. Now I have these all these accessories on here for the start of the video, mostly just, I wanted to show them off so you can see, like, hey, these are the accessories that come along with it. But also, this weather liner is actually kind of an involved process to put it on and take it off, and so I only want to do that once in the video. We'll take that off in just a little bit here, but yeah, it's an awesome accessory. I mean, if you're hauling kiddos, that can be nice because it will help to protect them from dirt, water, whatever, getting hit by anything. It makes it harder to fall out, and plus it really allows you to maximize the cargo space back here, because you get these nice deep footwells that you can now load up with cargo on each side. Nothing's going to fall out. So if you're carrying smaller cargo that doesn't sit on top of the seat or balance very well, you can just kind of stuff it down in there, and then you can really carry a lot of stuff. Okay, so stepping back to just kind of talk big picture about this bike. This is the Flyer Via, and it's their 884 series, which you can see right down here. They've got a few different color options in the series. 3 sizes too, which is pretty sweet. This is the medium here, and I feel pretty comfortable on it. Now I'm I'm pretty tall. I'm at 6'3" tall, and so I would probably prefer the large size if I was going to buy one of these to keep forever. But I'm surprised at actually how good I do feel on the medium. Some of that is having this nice long seat post. I've got it up at the highest setting here, and so yeah, it feels pretty good to pedal. Not quite full leg extensions, but close enough. I like that they have the handle on the back here. Definitely helps with moving the bike around. It's very big and just awkward to move. It doesn't actually weigh all that much. I mean, 72 pounds, which for a cargo e-bike, especially one this big with all these accessories, that's actually pretty solid. But because of the size and bulkiness of it, that's going to make it a pain. You don't want to be carrying this up and down stairs to your apartment. I have tried and verified, not a good time. So having a garage to store this in is going to be kind of an ideal scenario. And this is they're going for a car replacement with this bike, right? The idea is that you can use this for stuff that you normally would have to have a car to do. Carrying 2 kids on the back, carrying up to 400 pounds of total cargo when you factor in the rider and the cargo, having the front rack on there. Now there are 2 different versions of this bike. There's this one, the standard Via, and then there is also the Via Pro. So on the Via, the main difference is this one has a 500 watt hub motor, which we can't really see back there. We'll talk about that more in detail in a bit here, but 500 watt motor, And then the drivetrain up here, we get the Shimano SIS Index thumb shifter, 7-speed, which, you know, these ones are a little bit more on the basic side. They are very easy to use with gloves, definite plus side to this style of shifter. And then the drivetrain, which I don't know if you can even get in here to see it, is a Shimano Tourney 7-speed. So this is kind of the entry-level stuff from Shimano, right? So if you wanted to upgrade and go with the Flyer Via Pro, then you would get an Altus, you'd get an 8-speed back here with a little bit more of a pedaling range on it. You would get the Altus trigger shifters up here, which are just a little bit more satisfying to use. And then you'd also get a more powerful motor in the back there of 750 watts. So, you know, if you are hauling lots of cargo all the time and you've got a lot of steep hills where you live, that might be the way to go. But I think for most people, honestly, the standard Via is probably going to get the job done. Both of the bikes are class 2, which means a top speed of 20 miles per hour. You get the pedal assist, you get the throttle, they have torque sensors, which feel really well. They're very well dialed in. And so I think for most people, the standard Via is going to be pretty solid. And at a starting price of $21.99 for everything that you get on this bike is a pretty good deal. And then the Via Pro costs just $300 more than that. $400 more, you know, something like that. Okay, I'm going to show you the process of removing this weather liner thing here. Because it's, you know, that's one of the, I guess one of the things that I don't like about the bike, not that I see a way around it, is just that this is kind of an involved process to get on and off here. So we'll move this out of the way here. So there are snaps on the front and back that have to come off. And then we've got the buckles right here. Come on, there we go. A couple more on the other side. And then the seats have to come off for it. This is where it really kind of starts to get more time consuming. Come on. There's these little Velcro straps under here that feel a little bit difficult to get your hands under there. But then these just snap out, and the seats actually kind of, you know, they click down on there. Very good design, honestly, across the board. Like, things fit very snugly. They feel pretty sturdy. Seat number 2 out here. There we go. Okay, I think there's some Velcro right here that has to come out, and then there's another bit right here, and this kind of slides through right here, and then there's a zipper right here that comes out, so that then this kind of, you know, comes out like so, and then we've got to come over here down to the bottom of each of these footwells. There's more Velcro straps that come out so that can lift off. All right, let's come over on the other side. Get these two. That one's loosened up. This does have zippers on the side right here too, also, so if you need to like load stuff in from the side, you can do that. Okay, I think we got everything. We'll see if it comes out. Look at that. There we go. Boom. And then this thing, you know, it's basically all fabric. There's not a lot of, there's some kind of stiff-ish components in here, but not a lot, and so it can fold up pretty nicely. I don't recall exactly. It was folded up tiny when I got it, of course, but you know, we can kind of do it up like that, fold it in half here. That's not too bad, you know, as long as we can get it small enough that I can stuff it in my bag right here. There we go. Now we're not done yet. We've got to put these back on. Let's see here. This away. Get this out of the way. Yeah, there we go. That feels a little bit better. That one. Pinned it under there again. Okay, here we go. So now we're in the kind of the default state. This is what comes with the bike. Now that removal process took me 4 or 5 minutes. You know, and I could probably get a little bit faster. You know, I've done it a handful of times, but it's kind of involved, right? And so that would be kind of annoying to do between every ride. You're probably going to end up either leaving it on or leaving it off. But it's nice to have that extra option for just you can call a bit more stuff. You can still do a lot, even with the standard configuration, especially, if you get this little tote bag. I really love this thing. It fits in between the bars on here. It's got these buckles on here, so you can clip it to the sidebars if you just want to make sure it's not going to slide around. If you get 2 of them, then they are going to fit in there snugly side by side. I think I mentioned they do collapse this way, that there's a bottom layer in them that lifts up, then it can fold completely flat, so you could push it all the way forward or backwards. That way you could have the tote bag in there and some other stuff, carry your kids in there or whatever, without having to get rid of the tote bags. You can just fold them down. So really awesome. They've crushed it on the design for the cargo carrying stuff. This is very nice for attaching bungee cords and other ropes, whatever, fasteners, what have you. You got more points on here to mount all kinds of stuff. Got the footboards down here. They've got this nice cover over the reel back here that just kind of helps to protect everything here, the wheel, the motor, etc. Mostly what this is doing is keeping cargo and feet out of it. If you've got your kiddos on the seat right here, the last thing you want them to do is to somehow stick their feet down and get it in the spokes. That would be pretty terrible, obviously. So they've got the covers on here. They're thinking of everything, and also obviously this is going to protect the rest of the bike from getting mud and water and dirt and everything thrown all over it. So, we can't really see anything more of the motor than we could earlier, but let's talk about, that and the battery. You can kind of see it tucked away back in there. 500 watt nominal motor back in here, and then the battery just kind of fits snugly right in here, sort of behind the seat post. Fairly easy to remove, and it's a good positioning for this as well. It's down low. This gives you a nice low center of gravity, and their battery, the whole bike actually has some of the best safety certifications that I've seen for quite a while. So the battery is UL certified. The entire bike system is UL certified as well. Motor's got safety certifications, and even the frame. It has what's called a DIN certification for load-bearing tests, which is pretty important for a cargo bike. It's probably nice to have for bikes in general. But the Radio Flyer has gone above and beyond with certifying as much of this stuff as they can. Really testing it out to make sure that it's safe. I like that they have this. I don't even know what the proper term for this is, but there's this spring right here. It's sort of like a steering stabilizer. What that does is, if you turn the steering right here, it'll start to stretch that spring, so then it can snap itself back out to straight. This helps to hold it straight, helps you to stay straight when you're riding it. It's really handy when you've got it up on the rear stand here, because then it's going to stay facing straight forward. It's not going to be leaning around. Very stable when it's on the kickstand, so loading and unloading cargo is much easier. Really high quality braking on here as well. Tektro hydraulic disc brakes, we see these ones a lot because they're just some of the best, most reliable brakes that you can get. 180 millimeter rotors in the front and in the rear back here. If you haven't used hydraulic disc brakes, long story short, they're much easier to actuate. You don't have to put a lot of force onto them to get the bike to stop. Really a nice touch for a cargo bike. You kind of need to have that. And then they also, require less maintenance. Mechanical brakes, you got to tighten up the cables every now and then. Not something you have to worry about with hydraulic. These do need to get bled every now and then, which you can do at a shop or do yourself. It's not actually that hard if you're, feeling mechanical and want to check out videos on YouTube. Let's see. Let's talk about the tires on here. One thing you might have noticed is that there's no suspension, right? We've got a solid fork, no rear frame suspension. If you do get the Via Pro, you do get a suspension fork up front, but I kind of like having the stiff fork on here. It's actually nice on a cargo bike because it's a little bit more stable and sturdy. It helps you to haul more cargo with more peace of mind. And if you have a suspension fork on here with a cargo bike, they can kind of wear out the fork over time, especially if you are in the habit of carrying a lot of weight up front or just a lot of weight in general. It's going to be rough on the suspension fork, and then who knows how how long that's going to last. So I like having the solid fork on here. These tires are from Kenda. They have the really nice K-Shield puncture protection. It's a 3mm like tire protective casing on there that makes them very resistant to punctures, which is, you have to have that on a cargo bike like this. If you thought changing a flat tire on a normal bike was bad, you don't want to do it on a cargo bike. Not a good time. So anyway, the tires are, we got a 24-inch diameter up here and a 20-inch diameter in the rear, which is another, you know, nice thoughtful design touch. This helps to lower the back of the bike back there, easier for loading cargo and stuff. It helps you get a lower center of gravity as well. And then these tires are 2.4 inches in diameter for both. So this is a pretty good volume of air here. You know, that is a nice tire size to provide some cushion. That is basically your suspension, you know, is the volume of air in the tires. And they've got this nice, it's more of a city tread on here, pretty grippy, but still going to be quite good rolling efficiency. Obviously this is not a trail bike. It's designed for city streets. Let's dive into talk about some of the electronics on here, which they've done a good job with the electronics as well. You know, it's kind of par for the course with everything else on the bike. The pedal assist sensor, which is sealed inside the bottom bracket, is a torque sensor, which means it is responding to the amount of pressure that you put on the pedals. So it's pretty dynamic, pretty engaging, feels really well. It is tuned quite well. So that's a solid choice, especially because they've combined it with having a throttle. So the downside of a torque sensor is that you have to, you know, push harder on the pedals to get more speed, and so they can be, you know, it's more exercise, which is good, but that can be kind of tiring, especially if you've, you know, gotten a lot of cargo back here and it's been a long day. So they've got the throttle on here, a thumb throttle on the left grip here, so that you can use that full power override at any assist level, which is the best way to configure it. And so, you know, on days when you just need a little bit of extra juice from the motor, use the throttle. You're all set. And this display is, you know, they've built their own display, which is pretty sweet. It looks like it's picking up kind of weird on the camera here, but it's incredibly easy to see, you know, with your real human eyes. It's sort of like a color, I mean, it's like a standard grayscale LCD, but it does actually have some color elements to it, like for the battery capacity right down here, pedal assist level in red. You've got your speed up on the top. Very easy to see. It doesn't matter like what day, if you're out in bright sunlight, direct sunlight, extremely easy to see. Stands out really great at night. I love this display. It's nice and small and compact. It doesn't take up a lot of space. You can, you know, press up and down on here to change your pedal assist level, and then the range figure right down here in the bottom will change. So level 1, you know, we can go about 50 miles. If we were all the way up in level 5, you know, 27, 28 miles is going to be about your max if you're at a full charge. Well, it's nice to have that, and it has been pretty accurate, for at least for the riding that I've done so far. Now, highlights of the electronic system are the lights. I mean, they are just awesome. Are they? Yep, they are. They're on by default. When you power on the bike, you can turn them on, or excuse me, you can turn them off if you want, but you know, why would you? Ride with them on. It's great for safety. Very bright headlight, and it's got the side cutouts right here, so at night you can actually see it from the side. Helps the bike to, you know, just be a little bit better on the side visibility. Front, you know, there's a lot of white branding and stuff on here that stands out. One missed opportunity is that there's no reflective striping in the sidewalls, which would be a, you know, a nice safety touch to have on here. We've got the reflectors down here. If you have the weather liner on here, it's got a ton of reflectors all over it, which really helps. But in the base state here, you know, there's some room for improvement with the side visibility. But anyways, back to the lights. Headlight is great. Tail light is also great. I mean, this thing is very bright. You know, the one downside of it is that, you know, if I'm standing up here at like kind of normal head height, can't really see it. You know, down here, it's very easy to see. And if you're, you know, further back, then you can see it up at the higher levels. So I think that's good enough. If you have the weather liner on here, it's actually quite hard to see that light under there, which is a bummer, but it's kind of hard to get around that. There's brake lights as well, so if it's kind of hard to reach all the way back here, but if I squeeze the brake levers here, then we get that much brighter brake activation. And there's some turn signals. So let's just go ahead and turn on the left one. We can come back here and see it. And I mean, these are bright. These are the brightest turn signals I have seen on an e-bike, maybe ever. And you know, even in daylight right here, we can see it. And if you turn that on at night, I mean, it is very bright. So they've really done an excellent job with their lighting on here. The turn signals do have a sort of a timer built in, so they turn themselves off after, you know, I don't know, 5 to 10 seconds or so. Yeah, so if you forget that they're on, then they take care of that for you. There is a Radio Flyer app, which, you know, doesn't seem to work with this bike yet. Maybe it's just because this bike is new. And we can come in here and say connect to bike, and then we can see it right here, like it finds it. But it's not in sync. You know, it says we're in level 0 on here, but then on the display we're actually in level 1, and changing it on here doesn't affect the bike, the speeds, like nothing is in sync basically. We can't control the lights. If we come in here to you know, ride performance, you can customize pedal assist levels, which, you know, again, doesn't work with this bike. But like I said, I think it's because this one's new, and so I imagine they will probably be updating this pretty soon to work with the new model. If you are curious about the, you know, just the size and fit for this bike, I want to show you from the third-person perspective here. I'm 6 feet 3 inches tall, weigh 190 pounds, and remember, this is the medium. So you've got you know, a large frame. If you need something a little bit bigger, kickstand down here. And then, you know, also if you need something a little bit smaller, you can go down to the small frame. But here's what we got on the medium. Seat is at the highest position here, so I can't extend my legs all the way, but it's enough that it feels pretty good to pedal. And it's a fairly forward, you know, active seating position here. This can be changed. You know, the stem could swing back, you know, all the way to here even. So if you prefer to sit more upright, you can do that. I like the forward stance. It also helps to kind of distribute the weight a bit better. You know, let your arms hold some of that weight, so it's just not as hard on the rest of your body. But you can really dial that in to fit. And with the 3 frame sizes, I think just about anyone should be able to ride this bike. Okay, time to do some riding now, like I always do. We're gonna start off riding with the assist off, just so I can kind of get a feel for the pedaling drivetrain. I like to know how the bike feels to ride without electric assist, because you never know when you might find yourself, you know, far away from home with a dead battery, and you gotta ride it back the old-fashioned way. Hopefully that doesn't happen, you know, with especially if you've got a full load of cargo. But we've got the, you know, assist at level 0 there. I do want to shoot this all the way down. A second probably will feel pretty good. Yeah. All right. It feels all right. You know, we're getting up 9-10 miles per hour. I mean, it's a workout to ride like this. You know, I'd certainly get my exercise in. But yeah, it can be done. Here's the kind of look at that seating position in action here. A little bit forward. Feels good. I mean, honestly, it's a very well-designed bike, and it's pretty stable steering platform too, since it's got that spring in there that helps to hold the steering column straight. So, you know, if you do want to ride no-handed, it feels sort of like it's self-balancing having that thing in there. You know, kind of idiot-proof. Maybe you don't want to do this when you've got a lot of cargo, but it can be kind of fun to, you know, take a break, sit back, and relax. Okay, let's kick it on into fun mode here. We'll turn it up to level 1, pedal assist. Now the way the pedal assist is tuned, they've done a great job here as well, no surprise there. The different levels of pedal assist 1 through 5 give you varying levels of power, but that power is consistent all the way up to your max speed of 20 miles per hour. Some electric bikes will cap the assist levels, so level 1 will stop working after 10 or 12 miles an hour, which just sucks. You're always fiddling with the controls then. Shift up the gears a couple times here. Now in level 1, I don't know if you can even hear the motor. I mean, it's real quiet. This is just enough juice to kind of cancel out the weight of the bike a bit, but if you can hear from my breathing, this is still quite a bit of exercise. I think it really starts to feel good right around level 3. Let's just kick it on up to there. Our range for level 3 drops down, so now it says we can get 34.2 miles, 35 from a full charge, which is quite a bit of range. It's probably more than you'd want to do, even in a single day round trip. It's a lot of miles to have yourself sitting on a bike for. Now that we are in level 3 here, we're starting to pick up speed pretty easily. I'm gonna start pedaling harder, and we'll shift up a little bit. We're actually going into a pretty stiff headwind right now, so that's gonna limit how fast I can get going, but we're cruising at 15, 16 miles per hour, and it feels pretty good right here. Like, kind of similar to before. I'm getting some exercise, but this is something I'd be able to maintain for quite a while. I think this bike probably is a good fit for people who are trying to generally get some exercise while they're riding it. You can always use the throttle if you are feeling a bit tired, but the torque sensor setup is something that's going to encourage more fitness just for general purpose riding. I love how quiet the torque, the motor is on this bike. I mean, I barely hear it even level 3. Let me get the camera down here so that you can listen, and then I'm gonna really pedal hard. Just, yeah, it's very quiet, very tame. It's not going to attract a lot of attention from passerby, which I think is a nice touch. Of course, it is a little bit louder in level 5. Let's bump it up there. Now it's very easy to get going, Whoop. Forgot this was a cul-de-sac. There we go. Gear 6 is pretty good for reaching the top speed. Since we're limited to 20 miles per hour, I found that I haven't really needed Gear 7 just because this is a pretty good feeling cadence. All right, let's get back onto this straightaway here. Anyway, we're talking about motor volume. So let me move the camera down here again. We'll slow down a little bit just so you can hear it as I accelerate. All right, so this is how loud the motor is, level 5 pedal assist only. There's 20 miles per hour. Nice fast acceleration, pretty quiet, and this is the 500 watt motor. So if you want even more oomph, you can go up with the 750. That one probably would be a little bit louder, but I haven't tested it, so I can't say for sure. Speaking of the throttle, let's give that a go. We are in level 5, but as long as you're in something other than 0, it's full throttle power all the time. So let's just throttle only. Let's see what we can do acceleration wise. Full throttle from a dead stop. There's 10 miles an hour. 15. And 20. Not too bad on the acceleration there, especially for it being a 500 watt motor and a reasonably heavy e-bike. Now keep in mind, I'm not carrying any cargo, at least not very much, like 10 pounds worth. I'm also, not huge as riders go. So if you've got a lot of weight on here, it's going to affect that. We're at full charge on the battery, more or less. So as you get lower, especially down below 50%, your performance is again going to suffer. This is something that happens with all electric bikes, just the nature of these lithium-ion batteries. So, and I think I mentioned this a little bit before. I think this 500 watt motor will be a good fit for most people, but if you're going to be carrying a lot of cargo, you have a lot of steep up and downs where you ride, then the 750 watt motor that you get with the Pro might be worth the upgrade. We are going to do one more run of the throttle, and I'm going to position the camera down by the motor just so you can hear the volume. It is a louder with just the throttle than it is with pedal assist. So here we go. There is 20 miles per hour. A little bit louder, but really not bad. I think having that all that shielding, the plastic covering that is around the entire motor rear hub area probably helps to contain a lot of the sound. So that's another bonus to having it there. Now, no ride test for a cargo bike would really be complete unless we are actually doing a cargo hauling test, right? Now, I don't actually get to do this very much because a lot of times when companies send me a bike to review that's a cargo bike, it doesn't have any accessories on it. It's like just this base rack. There's no seats, there's no bars, there's no nothing. And so it limits my ability to really test it out as a reviewer unless I want to go and buy the accessories, which I usually don't. So this is where the Flyer Via really has or kind of stands out from the competition, is that you get this bar and the seats on here by default. So it's already immensely useful as a cargo hauler, and that's how we're going to be doing it today. We're not going to use any of the extra stuff, except maybe the front basket. And also, thank you to Radio Flyer for actually sending the extra accessories as well, so I can demo them, and also so I can use them in the video, so that if you're thinking about getting this bike, you're probably thinking about getting some accessories too, and it's kind of nice to know what those look like and how they perform. So without further ado, I have got a whole bunch of stuff that I need to take to the thrift store. So we are going to take this out for a real test run. Okay, well, check it out. Got it all loaded up. This box fit perfectly inside the frame, which was nice. And then, you know, this one fit, again, perfectly snug right up to the seat. It is pressing up against the seat here, which is helping to keep it wedged in. And I tried sitting on it and it feels fine. You know, I can kind of feel that against my back a little bit, but it doesn't impede my comfort. Still easy to pedal. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff on here. Box of clothes, a whole bunch of goodies in here. This is probably around like 40, I don't know, 30 to 40 pounds of cargo. So we're not really testing the weight. I don't have that much heavy stuff, but this, you know, in terms of bulk, this, there's no way I could have taken this to the thrift store on my regular bike. All right, let's take it away. All right, we are rolling. The maneuverability is definitely affected by having all the cargo weight on the back. It's mostly just that it's sort of like there's a delayed inertia effect for the steering, where if I, you know, turn to one side, turn to the other, the weight kind of swings around after that. And so it feels a little bit funky. You get used to it after a bit though, and it's certainly manageable. For this test, this thrift store delivery, we are going to be riding in level 5 assist all the time. So we're also going to be really, you know, pushing the power, see what we can do. Let's see, I got, these are a bunch of winter coats. They're all brand new, and then got assorted boots, bathroom stuff, balance board. Right on, thanks guys. All right, well, easy peasy, dropped it off. It wasn't a very long ride, you know, a mile or two, probably about 2 miles. We're at 89% battery. We're doing pretty good. So now we're just gonna book it home as fast as we can. Okay, well, let's see how we did. So our trip, this is all the miles for today, 6.8 miles, including our run to the thrift store. And range remaining for level 5, which is the highest, is at 21.8. So that's pretty spot on. You know, we started with, I think, 27 or 28, and we were at full capacity. We're down to 81%. I actually was using only the throttle for the last mile of the ride home, just because I was, you know, feeling a little tired, and I wanted to, you know, see how, you know, how that would affect my maximum range, and you know, didn't really take that much of a hit out of it. Having the 500 watt motor, I think, helps with that, because it just, you know, doesn't drain as much power as those beefier 750 watt ones do. Alrighty folks, we are about at the end of the road today for this review of the Flyer Via. I've had a lot of fun testing out this bike. I think it's incredibly well built. I mean, they did such a good job with the design. The build quality is top notch. If I was, you know, going to try to find, you know, criticisms for this, I kind of had to get pretty nitpicky to find things that can be improved on it. There are a few opportunities for improvement. Reflective striping in the sidewalls of the tires would be a great safety touch. I'd like to see that. I love all the accessories, but that, you know, the weather liner that we had on here earlier, just kind of time consuming to put it on and off, you know, 4 or 5 minutes either way. And you might just want to leave it on there all the time, but when you do leave it on there, it, you know, it blocks your tail light and turn signals pretty badly. The lining does have lots of reflectors on it, so that helps to account for that. But you know, maybe just having this extended back out to mount right here could really solve that, and then you could, you know, just leave the lining on there all the time. But you know, that's really it for nitpicks on here. You know, there's other things that just come more into like what this bike is designed for and the use case that you should be aware of if you're looking at buying it. This is really a cargo bike for people who value the traditional cycling experience. They want to get some exercise. Fitness is important, and so there's other cargo bikes out there that are a bit more powerful, that have cadence sensors, that have bigger batteries or dual batteries, so you can sit on the throttle the whole time if you want to without having to pedal as much. So if that's important to you, that's something to consider here. This one is for people that want to actually be riding it more like a bike. If you want to go faster, class 3 speeds of 28 miles per hour, that's another thing to consider too. Both this and the Via Pro are limited to class 2, 20 miles per hour. Now I usually find that's fast enough on a cargo bike, especially you get this bad boy loaded up with cargo, or if you've got your kids on there, you probably don't want to be screaming along at 28 miles per hour. That's pretty fast. So for most people, I think the class 2 is going to do it. But if you are, a bit more of a speed fanatic, you want that speed, especially just, being able to get somewhere in a hurry, then you might want to look at some other brands for that. But other than that, I feel like this is going to cover it for most people. I like the 500 watt motor option. I feel like it gets the job done, but they've got the Via Pro that's got the 750 watts, so you could upgrade that. You could upgrade your pedaling drivetrain as well, longer range, a little bit higher quality hardware, get the suspension fork on the front. So you've got options, and at the price point for these, both of them are just tremendous value. Something else to consider if you are looking at this bike is that it's mostly online direct-to-consumer style. They don't really have dealers, at least not that I can tell. They have a flagship store in Chicago, so if you live there, you can actually go in and test ride one. But for most people, you are going to have to buy it online. Now, it's very easy to assemble. It comes, mostly assembled. You got to mount the handlebar and the front wheel, I think, but most of it's all good to go. You have to, put on the accessories, which it does take some time. But Radio Flyer's manuals are excellent. Some of the best that I've seen. Very well written. Good English, good clear steps that cover the entirety of the process, so that there's no guesswork like you get with some e-bikes. And so ordering online, I think you can get this together yourself. You might want a person to help you with it, just because they are a little bit heavy, especially if you get the large frame. It's a big bulky bike. That's the other thing to consider. Really applies to all cargo bikes. These things are big. You need a space to store it. Having a garage is really the way to go. If you live on an upper floor, walk up, you can't really carry this thing up the stairs. It only weighs 72 pounds, but it's awkward. It's big. It's hard to get it through doors. Stairways that have like the corner wraparounds to them are an adventure. I've had to do that once, and don't recommend it. So all right, my friends, I have run out of things to say for now. Thank you for coming along and watching this review. Let me know what you think down in the comments section. Ask me any questions that you have about this bike. I've gotten to spend a couple of months with it here, so I'm fairly well acquainted with it. You can also check the description of this video for a link to the full written review back on our website, ridereview.com. I've got even more details than I shared here. I've got a bunch of photos. We got specs as well, so please drop by and check that out. Ride safe out there, my friends. I will catch you in my next video.